I got hiccups still. Sorry.
It's, that's just part of the dangers of the profession. You're just going to have to battle through it.
Power through.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to our audience. It's yes, you're right on that. Episode 2, season 2 of the AHL pre-show. And for those new listeners out there, you guys will come to learn that it's all about the chaos here and the good vibes, but we also like to take a look forward at what's going on at the AHL all week long ahead, give you kind of a sense of the previews and the matchups that to look forward to this weekend. We like to throw in a little bit of spice there. I'm Andrew. That's Dee. She's having a time. We're gonna work through this. Are you okay?
I don't know where they came
from. Yeah, no, we've been.
Is that I was like a classically trained singer. So like the one muscle that I worked out more than any other muscle in my body is my diaphragm. So when you hiccup, it's actually your diaphragm in spasm. And because my diaphragm is very strong, it's like getting donkey kicked right to the chest every time I hiccup.
That sounds awful.
I would recommend.
I would not recommend anyone going through that. Being, classically trained singing or hiccups while doing so. So yeah, we're gonna spice a little bit of this show up. I know last week we were talking about a lot of fun names, and if you know anything about hockey or hockey players, unless you're a fan of some certain bottom of the barrel teams, looking at you, Iowa, a lot of these teams in the AHL have some wacky zany characters that kind of came out of left field, or I guess the offensive zone would be the more appropriate metaphor. And we got a lot of fun personalities and a lot of fun names attached to those personalities. We decided to go through the rosters of every team and pick the best name out of every team. We got a whole bracket set up. It's like March Madness, but in November.
Yeah. We're both college football fans. Every year on the internet, best names in college football get rounded up and assigned to the all-name team for their conference. As an SEC fan, I get a whole bunch of those great names every year. So we have the all-name tournament going on. It's a bracket challenge. The winners of every week will be decided by various different methods of decision making. Today, we're going to introduce this. We're probably going to list off all of the names that we've got, and we're going to, between the two of us, decide on a handful of them based on overall vibes, how well the name rolls off the tongue, whether or not the face matches the name, and the hockey ability of said name.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fact. It's not just the name going into this. It's the aesthetic of the name attached to the player that's rocking it. So I mean, I think, do we want to share the bracket? I think we should share the bracket.
Let's look at the bracket.
Let's look at the bracket. Okay, so for those who are watching us on YouTube, you guys are going to be able to follow along a little easier. And for those who are listening through audio means, we'll kind of guide you along. Let me share the old screen here as we get into the all-name tournament, and we're off. So the way that this is organized is by conference and then by division. Sorry for those divisions that have 7 teams. You're getting a bit of Pacific help in this one.
You get an extra representative.
Exactly. So I hope you guys, are warm and welcoming to your West Coast brethren. But if they go all the way, well, then, get better names.
But also that counts as a win for you.
Exactly. So, it's all about kind of sharing in the glory. And so we're going to start off here with the Atlantic region, if you're familiar with the Final Four kind of way of working the bracket. Number 1, of course, it's the number 1 seed. It's Hershey, of course. Mike Vecchione. I mean, I'm a little biased, but I love a good Italian name. It's a great hockey name. It's kind of got that, Ruzioni feel to it. I like it.
We're following that up with Calio Delius.
Good one, solid one out of Bridgeport. Wilkes-Barre Scranton with a solid hockey name. Rutger McGroarty.
Rutger McGroarty. Can't have an all names list without including Rutger McGroarty. Honestly, I'm level with you, Andrew. He's the early front runner. He's got the most hype coming out of college there.
But he's got a hard first round matchup with Hartford's Blade Jenkins.
Good first round. Blade, hockey player named Blade. Come on.
Oh man, I have a feeling whoever's gonna make it out of that matchup's gonna go far. Heading out of Springfield, I like a little bit of alliteration, and we got a lot of it. Leo Loof.
He's going up against Brandon Boosie.
Oh man, we are getting the alliteration early. I love it. Lehigh Valley is rocking Zaid Wisdom. Smart pick.
Really good. Yeah. A lot of thought was put into that one. He's going up against Wilmer Skoog
of the Charlotte Checkers. And then we move out of that into the North region. I almost said division, but it's technically the North region. We got Toronto's Marshall Rafai.
And he's going up against all-name heavyweight Florian Jackeye.
Mm-hmm. Yep, a lot of good familial blood in there. All-name team in the NHL, trying to make the all-name All-Stars in the AHL. Continuing on, Syracuse with Gage Gonsalves.
Obviously, we're going back to the alliteration because in this round, he's going up against Wyatt Wiley.
I've noticed a lot of the alliteration names are going up against other alliteration names.
I know. We need to go back to the seeding and kind of figure out how that happens. Rochester coming in hot. We've got Graham Slaggert. What a name. What an incredible name.
Great hockey name. Cleveland's rocking a guy with 4 names. So long we had to kind of shorten it into an acronym. But that is what I call OJBH. That's Ole. Oh, man, I'm gonna go and just make sure that I pronounce this one correctly because it's a mouthful for sure. That is Ole Julian Bjorgvik Holm. I know a lot of Monsters fans are gonna be out there really happy about that one.
OJBH.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm pulling for OJBH. I think he's a sleeper pick. He's kind of an underdog. Seems like a bunch of normal names just kind of strung together. But I think there's some promise out of that kid.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you're rocking 4 names, that's twice the names of your other opponents. He's got a leg up on some of these guys.
We've got the Ireland versus Scotland debate coming up with Seamus Casey versus Angus Booth.
Yep, that's Utica and Ontario coming in. Again, Ontario kind of invading the North Division there. But those are just some classic English hate names in there. So I like to see
the chant from both sides is just "We hate England more than you." Back you know what? They both have an equal chance, although only one of them is actually a part of the UK.
Yeah, Milwaukee's got Navrin Mutter coming in.
And he's going up against Cameron Cruddy.
Ooh, we got the alliteration advantage coming out of Iowa. Grand Rapids, Rock Me Amadeus Lombardi.
And I mean, being named after one of the greatest composers of all time definitely gives you a little bit of the artistic advantage. The artistic scores will be arbitrary, but very important. He's going up against Gleb Trikazov.
It just rolls off the tongue so well. And, it's smooth like his hands. And we all appreciate that in Chicago. Texas coming out with Antonio Stranges. We got some Stranges things going on.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with a name that's spelled one way and pronounced another. That's like a solid all-name pick. He is going up against Chaz Lucius, though. Chaz is always such a solid name from the get-go. Is it Chad? No, it's Chaz.
Chaz. It's a jazzy, chazzy. I like it.
You put some mustard on it. It's got a little bit of pizzazz.
You want to talk about alliteration? Rockford's coming up big with Marcel.
Well, Marcel Lucky for him, he got the nod because Ivan has been called up to the NHL. I really look for this kid to do the most with it, do the best that he can, and really kind of come out swinging, going up against Jan Mysak out of San Diego.
Again, another foreign invader with the Gulls coming into the Central Division. But then we finally get home into the Pacific. Calgary with Waltteri and Ignatjew.
Yes, which we Googled extensively.
It took like 30 minutes to find out the exact pronunciation of this name. So he's my early favorite to go take this whole thing.
He's a strong contender. Yeah, him and I think Jack Guy are pretty well evenly matched for coming out of this, the winners. But Waltteri does have to go up against Dyson Mayo from Henderson. Dyson Mayo. Those are two everyday household items. You never would have thought that they'd be hockey players.
Have you ever had a Dyson Mayo sandwich?
No, because Dysons are vacuums.
Well, I hope not. And San Jose coming out strong with Shakir Mukhamadullin.
Yes. It goes back there. They had to circulate a video of how to pronounce this man's name on the Twitter sphere. Now it's X, but previously it was Twitter. They had to circulate a video of how to pronounce this man's name, and people still fought with them in the comments. He obviously has to be included in our all-name tournament. He is, however, going up against heavyweight contender Jagger Firkus. Jagger and Firkus. And just enough said.
Do you think they call him Mick in Coachella Valley? Mick Jagger Firkus?
No, I just think they call him the coolest guy on the team.
He probably is. I mean, Potts isn't there anymore, so yeah, that checks out. In Abbotsford, we got Nikita Tolopilo.
Yes. I love when they roll off the name like that.
Oh, that's it. It works so well.
It's like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. This is the Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen of our season.
He again doesn't have an easy matchup in the first round because Colorado is actually coming out with their head coach with Aaron Schneekloth.
Look, head coaches are fair game. They make up the team. They get paid to play the hockey as well. I mean, they don't play it. They coach it. Nobody would say that Gordon Bombay was not a member of the Mighty Ducks.
Do you think they call him the Schneek in the locker room? Like, what's his nickname?
I think they probably call him Schneebly, like Jack Black's character in school, like Ned Schneebly.
I like it. In Bakersfield, we got Alex Canuck-Leipert. Again, three names.
Yeah, we absolutely love having multiple names, and especially multiple names without a hyphen. The less hyphens you have, the more likely you are to be included in our bracket. Keep that in mind, parents of future hockey players, when you're naming your future hockey players.
That's right. Everyone wants to make the all-name tournament here. And last but certainly not least, out of Tucson, we got Montana Onyebuchi.
Yes, and certainly not least because he's seated second. You come out with a name like that, a name with a lot of significance, especially to what I'm assuming is an immigrant family, and we're going to honor the absolute daylights out of that name. We love your name. Be proud of your name, Montana.
Everyone on this list should be proud of their name as well. I mean,
great names. I would like to disclaim that this is in no way making fun of or trivializing the history and familial connections of these names. We just like names. And if you have a cool name, we really want to celebrate your super cool name.
100%. This is like, I'm having fun saying these. And again, it's attached to the very real person and the vibes that person gives off and how well they played the game of hockey. And this is all,
and everybody in this bracket's an incredible hocky player.
Exactly.
Or head coach. I'm looking at you, Schneebs.
Or coach, yes. We're looking at you, Aaron Schneebs.
Yeah, looking at you, Schneebs. But, everybody earned their way into this bracket. Nobody was brought into this bracket to make fun of them. This is a labor of love because we love hockey and we love the players who make up every single team in this league that we love.
Absolutely. This is just another way that we like to celebrate and just a fun way of following this wonderful game of ours. And I love it. Going through the roster some teams deserve their own brackets.
Yes.
And it was tough to just like narrow it down to just one selection per team.
Absolutely.
Other teams were like, well, it's clearly that guy, so we're gonna take it. So we got a number 1 seed in there and everything, but granted, that's probably more from the team that he came from.
Sure. So who we got? Who we voting on right now?
Are we gonna go through the first couple?
Sure.
Couple matchups? Let's do it. Let's just get this show on the road. I gotta go share that screen again.
One last time.
Yeah, why not? All right, we're getting back. Let's do it. Let's just start at the top of the bracket. Let's get into the Atlantic. Mike Vecchione versus Calder Odelius.
Calder Odelius. Okay.
Yes.
So I know why we included Vecchione.
Because he sounds like a Ruzioni?
And that's exactly the same reason why I'm going to argue against him. I'm going to argue for Calder Odelius.
Oh, we got a first round upset in the first matchup. I think my background's got me leaning towards the Italian name, but the more I think about it, the Odelius it's just got more pizzazz to it, I love a Vecchione. He sounds like he makes some awesome pasta sauce, but
he'll never be a Ruzioni.
He will never be a Ruzioni.
He will never beat the Soviets at the 1980 Lake Placid Winter Games, score the game winner to eliminate them from the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
He won't. It's physically impossible, so we can't hold that against him. But Calder Odelius is giving you jazz hands.
Oh, I think I'm with you on that one. I think Calder Odelius moves on. First matchup, first upset. Oh boy, this is gonna be a tough one here, though.
What if we
Rutger McGroarty or Blade Jenkins?
Okay.
Hear me out. I mean, fucking hockey name, Blade Jenkins.
I get that.
It's too strong. It's a 1-2 punch that
Sure. Hear me out, though, okay? Imagine it. Picture it. Montreal, 1940s. You're in the Forum, where the greatest of hockey was played, along with all of these other great names, right? They call Rutger McGroarty.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds exactly like it fits right in with the rest of the ghosts of this hallowed hall. Blade Jenkins, the little modern. Maybe it's modern hockey. But to me, Rutger McGroarty screams 6 teams in the league, and we just fought the Second World War, baby.
If this was an NHL name team, that might have sold me. But I think Jenkins is another classic name there, too. I feel like it's got staying power.
I understand where you're coming from. Blade. The whole sport is played on blades. However, there is a field version of it. So is it technically the hockeyiest of names? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Does Rutgers have a hockey team? Because if Rutgers has a hockey team,
I feel like this is going to come down to a coin flip. I have a literal coin in my hand.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. Heads, Rutger McGroarty. Tails, Blade Jenkins.
We'll never know.
It was. I was gonna show it up to the camera. It was a tails, but I'll get. Let's do best 2 out of 3. I think that's fair.
I don't know how we relegate. These are 2. This was like
This is the toughest one. The second one, that's a clear tails there.
Yeah, that's 2 out of 3. I guess it's Blade. Rutger, I'm so sorry. I fought for you, dude.
She did fight, but I fought just. We got.
It was rigged. I don't know how he did it, but he rigged it. Blade Jenkins chose to defer. He's gonna.
We might have to do double elimination. Anyway, we got Leo Lou And Brandon Bussey, again, the alliteration battle.
No, this one's hard.
It's hard.
Hmm.
I love I was just about to say I love the double letters, but they both have it too.
I know they do. I think I like Leo Loof because, like, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7 letters. 4 of them are vowels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's mostly vowel.
And then 2 of the 3 remaining consonants are the same.
Yes. There's only 1, 2, 4 total letters in that name.
I feel like Bussy might have the stronger last name, but the first name, I'm sorry, Brandon, it doesn't do enough for me versus Leo. Like Leo Loof. Leo Loof. Like it complements it so much more. I gotta give it to Leo.
I know, but hear me out here too, because like guess who just scored? Loof. Now yell Loof like a hockey commentator, right? You're like Loof. Yeah, come on.
Right. I can imagine like the Springfield crowd like Loof.
Yeah, one of those gets hockeyed better than the other, and it's Loof.
Agreed. Leo Loof moves on. And then the last one here in the Atlantic region, first round, we got Zaid Wisdom, smart pick, and Wilmer Skoog.
Wilmer Skoog. Skoog again goes in line with the Loof.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fun to yell in the stands, but I feel like not only do we have Zaid instead of Zane, right?
Mm-hmm,
it's not Zayden, it's Zaid. We've got a great uncommon first name. It's spelled in the coolest way. And your last name is Wisdom, and that's a kind of tooth that most people take out, and you lose teeth in hockey.
That's I didn't even make that connection.
I know.
I like it. It's the uniqueness of Zaid. You know, it sounds like a hero in a science fiction novel. You know,
I think if old Willie Boy was up against anybody else, like he probably would have stood a better chance. But the way these seating shook up, Zaid like is to me. Wilmer Skoog sounds like a pirate. That's an excellent pirate name.
If we were doing a pirate bracket, yes, Wilmer Skoog might get the championship round.
Yeah, no, he gets a bye. But yeah, I think on this one, Zaid Wisdom is just that's a name that makes you sound kind of like a wizard as well. So like,
I like it.
Yeah.
Zaid Wisdom moves on. All right, we have our first region out of the way.
Yeah. So I think that's good for now.
I think that's good for now. I feel like we keep this going through the I mean, this is going to be going for a while because we got a lot of matchups left. So
a lot of names.
Yeah, we're just getting started with this thing. But I would love to hear from some people out there to reach out to us and kind of give your opinions both on why we're either right or wrong in our picks and who you feel like in the future is going to really be moving on. So
yeah, give us some feedback. Let us know your insight and analysis on the all name bracket challenge.
I can't wait to bring like an actual hockey player or coach on this podcast and we're interviewing them and be like, hey, Zaid Wisdom or Wilmer Skoog, who's got a better name?
By the way, which alliteration is better?
Exactly. I can't wait.
We're gonna have to get Coach Schneebs.
That might be that's a great idea. I love it.
Write that down. All right. Drew, you want to talk hockey?
I want to talk some upcoming hockey going on because when this episode gets released, we're all going to be fat on Halloween candy and looking forward to some great weekend action. It's going to be, happy November. Make sure y'all pay your mortgages out there. Mine is due today.
Yeah, some of us don't have that problem.
So, we got some great matchups early on here. I love the I always like to see, again, the kind of crossover from division and division. First up, right off the bat, Hartford and Syracuse. So right now, currently, as we're recording this episode, Grand Rapids is kind of taking it to Hartford. So if that result hangs up, good chance for Hartford to bounce back, but Syracuse is tough.
Yeah, no, Syracuse is always tough. They've
Mm-hmm.
got some great players, and I have a lot of thoughts about them. But Syracuse is a tough team to get past.
Who's got the better name, Gage Gonsalves or Hartford? Blake Jenkins. Yeah, come on. That's an easy Blake Jenkins win. Easier than Rucker beating Rucker McGroarty, I would say.
I don't know. Gage Gonsalves is a great name. It's
great.
No, it's great. It rolls off the
way
tongue.
Harder than I thought it was going to.
I know. And I think the thing about Gage Gonsalves is that he looks like a Gage.
Does he look like a Gonsalves, though?
Well, I mean, you can't just assume everybody's ethnic heritage. You don't look like a Rinaldi.
Okay, no, you know what? I don't. That's fair. I'm very it's the redness. It does not give off your standard Italian vibes, but it's there somewhere. We got some other, some great matchups here this weekend. I'm another big fan of Texas and Colorado. Again, interdivisional. I've seen a lot of Colorado in the Central Division. I would love to poach them out of the overly saturated Pacific Division and be like, hey, instead of going one time zone to the west, why don't you come one time zone to the east? And I would I love their uniforms. I love their home barn is awesome. The Voodoo Ranger Lounge and everything looks like it's an absolute party.
I think you just like that they're in the mountains.
That doesn't hurt that it's like an hour away from Rocky Mountain National Park, but
I obviously
that park's hardly accessible during the hockey playing months, so it's irrelevant anyway.
Not if you're brave. Anyway, I obviously have such a soft spot in my heart for Colorado, having lived there, having, taken in a lot of Colorado hockey. Obviously, growing up as a fan of two teams, one of them being the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, I keep my eye on Colorado. And yeah, no, they are on the come up. They're on the up. They just need a different kind of opponent. They need more East Coast opponents. They need, and that's easier if you can get yourself out of the West Coast division when it's not a great matchup in terms of style. Any of the California teams playing Colorado is they're weird games, but they do so well against the ones in the Central Time Zone.
Exactly. So bring them to the Central. That's all I'm asking for.
The Central could have them, because if we could see Texas and Colorado match up all the time, we'd be watching some great hockey all the time. That's the other thing. Texas is still rolling. They're just gaining momentum every single season, and they're Dallas's affiliate, and I'm from Houston. But it's so hard. It's so hard to dislike the Stars, especially in a hockey in Texas kind of standpoint. It's so hard to dislike the Stars because they are on a meteoric rise. Honestly, give them a season and a half, and they're gonna be the serious West Coast contender for the Calder Cup.
Don't tell me that. I just got done getting smoked by Texas all the time last year.
I know, but they are good.
They're good. It's a solid spot.
They're figuring development out.
And let's look. Just look at the top three teams in that Central Division. You got Milwaukee 6-1, Grand Rapids 6-1, and Texas 5-1. I feel like the cream always rises to the top, but it seemed real quick out of the Central. It was and they rose real quick to the top. And I honestly, I don't know how much there's change there's going to be in these standings. I know it's early on. We're only 6 games into the season, really, but these kind of matchups, even out of the division where Grand Rapids gets to go on the road and flex their muscles against Springfield and Lehigh and Hartford, or Texas flexing their muscles against Colorado. It kind of like fills these teams up with points as they kind of like take it out on other teams in the division. And then once they get into the division, then they start really smashing their heads against each other. And that's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little more that's going to be a little closer to home. Providence and Laval. Again, another interdivisional matchup.
Yeah.
It's a little more like classic kind of rivalry, Boston-Montreal, but you don't see it as much in the AHL because Atlantic and North Division. But
yeah, and we haven't seen the Rocket really play anybody who's not named Utica in like 7 million years. So it'll be interesting, especially because the Rocket are kind of rolling. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you remember last year this time, I was like, oh, Rocket. This year, I'm like, okay, they're getting their feet underneath them. They're just kind of letting the kids play, which is really nice to see. The Bruins are the Bruins. They're so dominant in the regular season. They're absolutely doing whatever they have to do to win games or to, get it as close as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Bruins are bruining positively. But it is the regular season. However, that being said, these are also two teams where you expect one thing going into a game against an opponent and you get an entirely different thing. So I would not be surprised if this was just like 60 minutes of neutral zone trap.
Don't tell me that. We're trying to get the fans excited for the game, not like bring.
But I, in the immortal words of Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell in Top Gun Maverick, I'm just trying to manage expectations.
That's fair. Sometimes you can, flare it up just a little bit.
Right, like if they're playing exciting, explosive hockey, it's going to be a game. It is gonna look like some hockey. But if they both go into it with the same mentality, and that mentality being to just lock it down and keep them from scoring, we're going to be getting 60 minutes of trap from two sides. Like, it's going to go one of two ways, and it's not going to be like, oh, well, this team just didn't do this the entire game and the other team walked all over them. No, because these two teams are going to match each other like footstep for footstep. They're going to match each other inch for inch on the ice. Whether or not that leads to any goals, or if we have to see like 7 million rounds of shootout, who's to say? But what I do know is that these teams are going to match each other. So whatever energy like the Bruins bring into Place Bell is the same energy that the Rocket are going to match it with, because even though, yes, it is your home and you can set the pace, they also know that the Bruins can get out of hand.
Oh, I just hope we're not seeing shades of Jacques Lemaire telling us, welcome back to the 90s, and it's just trap hockey again. I can't do that. I can't do
Hey, trap hockey won championships.
It did, and it also put just leagues of children to bed early, so monkey's paw type deal. Let's go out west. Let's see what action we got going in the whole Pacific time zone. I mean, you also got, let's see, we already mentioned Colorado going into action against Texas. What about Coachella and Bakersfield? Coachella's a different team this year. It's like, it just, the makeup's completely different now that, you got your Jagger Firkuses around. But there's just no Andrew Podorowski, no Cole Lynn, no Cameron Hughes, there no Joey DeCords up in Seattle. It's such a different dynamic to this squad, and they've not disappointed coming out of the gate, but it's 2-2 when compared to their usual dominant days.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that, like, we were going through all these rosters to make this bracket, and we were, like, seeing all these names, and it was, like, a little bit of a double take, because even though you know that Coachella is a different team, looking at that roster and maybe only recognizing, like, half of it as, like, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, you're like, that's weird. I will say I'm willing and this is because like this is what I've been standing on the entire time. I'm willing to bet that the slow start for Coachella is just getting their feet underneath them as a team. Because what have I maintained about Coachella? This is probably the best coached team in the league. I've maintained that about Coachella since the beginning. I really think this is just some growing pains, some little learning things, because when they are like playing well, their little flashes of glory in the game, they're great. And they've found their footing. Like they are like they're not, I don't know, the worst. You know what I mean? They are better than San Diego, but like, you know, they need to find that footing, I think.
Yeah, and then on the other side, you know, you got Bakersfield, and I feel like their roster is very consistent, at least in like AHL terms. Like Seth Griffith has been an all-star there for, it feels like, since the league was first established, and I feel like you kind of know what you're getting out of the Condors year in, year out, and it's never, they're never a tough out, that's for sure. So it's going to be a good test for this Coachella team. As I mean, I know you got Max McCormick still there, but he feels like he's on an island. Like there's that one meme where it's all the friends from Adventure Time, and there's only one guy left at the end of it, and he's that one guy. And you just got to kind of, you know, back the horse up and get back to work. What doesn't matter who's on your wings or who's backing you up the blue line, you still got to come out and show out. So I expect McCormick to kind of lead the way this weekend. We'll see if the Condors can kind of counter. And it's early in this Pacific Division race, but I mean, Calgary's already piling the points up. And I thought that this was going to be a way different team without Dustin Wolf. And they're like, oh, we could just lose like an AHL MVP and then just continue to be really, really, really good at hockey. So
no, well, the rest of the team was built so well.
I know.
Like, you can say, like the one thing you can say about the Wranglers that you can't say about many other teams is that like the team was not built around the superstars, or the team was not built around like one specific player or one little handful of players. Like the team was just built to be good.
And they are good. They already got 3 players that are over a point a game, including Jacob Pelletier, who's managed to do that without scoring a goal. So that's always impressive. They have maybe my favorite name in the league early on here, and it's goaltender Waltteri Ignatjew. And it's, again, I like that. I really like that assessment where it's like you have some of these high-level players, but the team is built so structurally well and coached so well that you can lose a Matthew Phillips. No, they don't miss a beat. You can lose a Dustin Wolf. They're structured well enough on the defensive end where it doesn't matter. You can have Pelletier maybe called up in the near future. I know there's been a lot of news out of Calgary about that. And this team will probably still continue to produce and to do very well. And I feel like Walker Dewar has been there, again, kind of like a Seth Griffith fashion. He's been in that organization for a while, and he's a guy that you can rely on to consistently show up and show out for that team. So I don't think they're going to go anywhere after this hot start. I think they're going to be perched right up at the top of that division early on. And they also got Bakersfield on Tuesday, so that's going to be a fun game to look forward to.
For sure.
What else do we have going on this weekend? There's so much. Abbotsford and San Diego. Talk about a couple of mascots that love holding onto their hockey stick like it's an absolute weapon. Do you think the players will reciprocate that kind of energy? I don't think so, but I kind of hope so. Be fun.
I think you always hope so. San Diego comes in and finds a way to just absolutely annihilate every hope and dream you've ever had.
Well, the Barracuda have been a story of like a team that we've dunked on for a while. That's kind of now on the up and up.
You've dunked on.
I've dunked on them. Yes, that's right. You have lovingly
aggressively yented them into being good. Yes.
Yes. Whereas I was more like the Mike Keenan approach, where I just like kicked with the players until they started producing.
Yeah, you were just over there bonking noggins with
But
your clipboard.
but they're still they're winning now, and that's what matters. Who's not that I have dunked on and will continue to dunk on until they turn it around is San Diego.
Yeah, in San Diego. That's what I'm saying.
It's so like I don't want to because I love like the goals. I like the whole brand that they've built there, and like I like the mascot and the jersey colors are cool. And San Diego is like a fun place to just be. Maybe they are just spending too much time at the beach, but
I'm kind of mad that they like missed the branding opportunity to call themselves the San Diego Gulls.
I feel like if they came out in the 90s, that probably would have been their name.
San Diego Gulls.
San Diego Gulls.
Yeah, they're close enough to Coronado too, and Coronado has this wonderful little like barbecue place. And like I'm not like much on outside of Texas barbecue, but they kind of have like the same vibe. They've got like this like really good sauces. I don't know. It's in Coronado. It's like right by like you can see the convention center and you can see the Carrier from this little shopping center in Coronado. And they've got a little. What's the name of the place? It's like something. Hold on. Barbecue Coronado.
I spent a vacation in San Diego the week that Michael Jackson passed away, so that's the memory that I have of San Diego.
Okay, that's not quite what I'm saying. But that is good job. Okay. Hold on.
I like the idea of barbecue, though.
Coronado, if I could spell it. Lil Piggy's Barbecue. It's called
Piggies?
Lil Piggies.
Lil Piggies.
Barbecue. And it's in the little, like, shopping center, the Coronado Ferry Center. So it's, like, literally, like, right there. Like, you can see San Diego from there. It's like right there, and it's very good. Like they've got some pretty good, and they've got a really good beer selection.
We need to push forward the opportunity of like getting Rockford to visit, and then like we have an event. Maybe we get Marcel to come and have like barbecue with us. Like we have the pigs in the barbecue.
Well, I can't eat pig.
What? Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that little detail in your life. Well, I can. So, like, you can enjoy
the potato salad
that you're fair to enjoy. Okay.
No, I can eat like beef. We do a lot of beef barbecue in Texas. We smoke a lot of beef.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, you can have the beef. The pork, the pig is all.
As long as we have like a pig like spit roasting.
Is that I don't know the rules.
No, like when you cook you cook a pig over an open fire and like you put the pig on there. But I'm just saying like visual effect that we are in fact eating the ice hogs.
Yeah, the Griffins did that in the playoffs. They hosted like a cookout with a pig on a spit roast. It was pretty funny. So that's what's going on over in San Diego this week. Got barbecue, Abbotsford Canucks. I don't know how we can segue that in, but I'm sure there's something in there. So let's believe that it is. And then I'm looking out for the Griffins continuing their road trip, going to Cleveland, a little closer to home than the East Coast. But I mean, man, this team is starting off really hot, and Cleveland's always a tough test. They're just a little, I guess, thorn in the side would be the best way to put it, because this last year, like Trey Fix-Wolansky was a menace, and like the Grand Rapids would always come into Cleveland on these winning streaks, and Cleveland's like, hot, psych, here's an L to slap you with. And there's always like, it was an overtime win or it was something just equally frustrating. And I want to see how the Grand Rapids can come in, Marco Casper is called up to Detroit. Carter Mazur's been hurt. There's been kind of like a flu bug going around. They haven't had Billy Husso or Sheldon Dries. So this team's found a way to win. And I kind of want to see them go into Cleveland and maybe exercise some demons, maybe. I mean, come on, go, boys. Do it for the Swedish meatball that's not there anymore. I just want to see Jar Jar really at this point. There he is. I need
Swedish meatballs. Guess who dropped Johnny Burgers from their fantasy team? It wasn't
me. I did it because it didn't. It was the aesthetic of it. The team is Charmin Ultra Soft. Okay, it can't have Yanni, who was the most clutch playoff performer I've seen since like the Wings dynasty days. To now,
great news for you. It's the regular season.
Well, he's clutching the regular season too. I mean, some guys are just winners, okay?
That's
and
like
I can't like that kind of energy can't coincide with big pieces on my fantasy team like Mitch Marner or Tim Stutzla.
Just for reference, like the fantasy league's only 6 teams, so everybody was available like 100% of the time. It's like the most stacked fantasy league you've ever seen, and actually like I think it's working to everybody's detriment because you have like the best goal scorers and the best goalies going up against each other every day. You're like, if you're unlucky enough to have them like all on the same team at the same time and they're all playing, it's like, okay, this sucks. You don't get any of the depth scoring, or like you don't get the PEMs from your like bench riders, and you don't get like all your shots on goals from the people who like
you have to do like you got to do like what I do and pick like Simon Edvinsson, another Griffin legend, because he gets all the blocks and the hits and all those other categories that count. It's kind of like if you just go for goals and assists, you're not going to win.
No, I know, but that's what Tom Wilson was for. And Tom Wilson has decided he wants to play the cleanest hockey of his career, apparently. And also that's what Matt Rempe was for. But they just keep wishy-washying Rempe between the AHL and the NHL.
Oh, they sent him down to Hartford and Grand Rapids was playing him. And I was like, oh no, please don't. And then they called him back up. I was like,
I've got Arturi Lehkonen, who's still out on the injured reserve for his shoulder, and he's great for some shots and some shorthanded points and some power play points. He's great for some of my littler, like my smaller stats, but like,
yeah, it's chaos, as you would assume out of our fantasy league.
Oh, it's incredible. My team name is Le Honk.
I do like the whole aesthetic of your whole team. You know, you got the picture with the goose. It's a silly goose.
I got the silly goose with a knife.
Yeah.
And Le Honk.
It kind of encapsulates this whole vibe.
Great. I love it. And then I've got I drafted. Who did I draft first? Oh, Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen was my first draft pick.
I was about to say, was it Arbor?
No. Mikko Rantanen, and then everybody else let Cole Caulfield fall to the very end of the draft. I picked him up 18th or something.
He wasn't soft enough for my team.
He was so far down. Everybody let Cole Caulfield fall, and I was like, I'm reaping all of the benefits.
Yeah, I got my number one defenseman is Quinn Hughes. I can't have Yanni Burgers. It's not compatible.
My team's been pretty solid. I literally lost last week only because I had 39 games and James had 50 something games. I just had whole days where nobody was playing. It was bad. And say my number one defenseman on my fantasy team, interestingly enough, is Chris Letang, who, by the way, underrated fantasy player.
Chris Letang?
Isn't
he 90?
But that dude will get you so he will get secondary points, and he gets so many shots on goal that he just doesn't score on. Yeah, he blocks. He's a sneaky blocker. He gets a lot of blocks.
If we were to do an AHL fantasy draft, who's the first pick?
Who do I take first overall?
Yes.
It's a really good question.
You can say Marcel if you want, but
No, I'm thinking like realistically, like I would do it because I'd be like, I need certain people like back in my sphere of cognizance. But like, who would I take first overall? I would probably end up with like, I don't even know. I would probably end up with Cedric Paré just so I could reassign him to like my bench for the rest of his life because he doesn't deserve anything after trying to murder Patrick Laine.
That's valid. I'll give you that. That's a valid. Just staple him to the bench.
Yes.
I would go, this is a homer pick, but I don't care. Dominic Shine, because like if you want goals, Shiner will give you goals. If you want pims, Shiner will give you pims. You want hits, Shiner will give you hits. He's got shorties. He blocks shots. Shiner is just like he just collects stats. He's a stat.
Swiss Army knife.
Exactly. And that way, like I also, my draft strategy is also like naming my team is like 90% of the fun in fantasy sports. So I get to call them like Shine On You Crazy Diamond, or like any kind of like, shine, any shoe shine type of anything. Shine works so well in that regard on top of being an elite fantasy player. Easy number one pick.
Yeah, I would say probably like my serious, like my genuine number one pick, having watched him for so many years, and it's a defenseman. I think I would pick up Corey Schooneman. I think that'd be my like first pick. That like it's who I would pick first. Corey Schooneman. That is somebody who's so responsible on the defensive line. Like he's so good. He'll get you literally something for every stat. Like he's physical on the puck. He's physical away from the puck. He can score. He can he can build plays and keep momentum going. I think that's who I would build my team around. Would be my fantasy team would be built around Corey Schooneman.
I like this. We should maybe once the bracket's done, we can do like a draft.
Do like a quick little fantasy
I know.
draft.
I'm thinking like I have way too many activities in my mind for just an hour-long show. But I like that. And we've covered the week ahead.
At least like the major plot points of the week. Yeah.
I think we're starting to create some stories and like some angles, like what's going on. I like it. We
know what we're looking for. We're not here to tell you about every single game that's happening in the AHL because some of them just don't really need to be spoken about. Like the Phantoms and the Thunderbirds. Like, okay, cool. Like we know how that one's gonna play out. They're gonna come at each other. Somebody's gonna win. Mm-hmm. They're gonna play good hockey, but it's not necessarily one of those like
Henderson and Ontario might be interesting.
I mean, sure, maybe.
It might not be. It could be Jack Lemaire, like welcome back to the 90s.
Yeah, it might not be. Like it's again, like I don't like calling teams bottom feeders, but they are two struggling teams after showing some kind of promise in recent years, but the teams are just kind of struggling now. It's gonna be struggle hockey, and struggle hockey can be fun hockey, but I think that with like especially with like Henderson and Ontario, like you've got I don't know, you've just like cool. It'll be a wash. Like it'll be hockey.
I just want to point out Ontario's, less than stellar start, sure. I didn't quite realize how important TJ Tynan was to just that team succeeding. Because, like, Samuel Fujimo, right, had 43 goals in 50 games last year. I was like, holy Hannah, how is this guy not really getting, like, serious looks at the NHL? He stops getting TJ Tynan to feed him passes, and Samuel Fujimo does not have a single point in
games. No. The Reign barely have any points in their games. So
it's offense has been tough for him.
That's what I'm saying. They're either going to be what I love about the AHL is that we call it like bad hockey. We say that they're bad, like teams are bad, but they're not. They are playing incredible hockey. Just like not better than the other team. And like with the AHL, I think like when the teams that are on the bottom of the standings, whether it's league wide or just like their respective divisions, when they face off against each other, their offensive troubles seem to disappear immediately. And like we're looking at this and we're gonna be like, okay, cool. Well, Henderson's 2-5 and the Reign are 1-4, which obviously means this is gonna be a 16-goal game. Like I enjoy that is something we can look forward to. So if we come back again here this time next week and it was a 16-goal game, I'll eat a shoe or something. But like it is what it is. I mean, like it's.
I hope I see a final of 9-7. You better cook that shoe up just right.
I will eat a shoe.
I think that's it for the week. We we're gonna end on the shoe. And it's a shoe-in, but thank you guys all for joining us for episode number 2 of season 2. Oh boy, we are already rolling with the deuces. I'm Andrew.
I'm Dee.
And we'll catch you guys next week.